This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's do roll start. Matthews would
Councilor Halverson,
here.
Councilor Barujo. Here. Councilor Moore.
Here.
Councilor Chapel is absent.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the agenda that's before us and the minutes from the, I'm trying to see the date,
January 6th.
January 16th meeting. And November the 14th, 2023. So the motion is to approve the agenda for January 16th, 2024, and the minutes from the public safety, November the 14th, 2023, and
No, that's it. Yeah,
That's it.
I told you wrong.
Okay.
Sorry. You want a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Oh.
Said aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same motion passes. Thank you. We only have one regular item. It's to consider resolution 23XX nominations. Mr. Franco.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee member, staff. I have 4 properties today. First one is 1615 South Mulberry. We have not had no contact with this property owner whatsoever. Got a lot of complaints, people squatted in there using generators at all hours of the day and night. Went by there today and nobody's there. So we'll keep an eye on that one. The second one is 321 East Reed. This one is open to the public. No, it has, somebody took all the windows out, the doors are off. I spoke to Miller Butts, the building official. He's the one that condemned the property. Right now, we have no information from, I think it's a Mrs. Rodriguez, about what they're wanting to do with the property. And we had a complaint about the running water. They had running water shooting out of that place. One day had water go and shut it off. The next day it was on again.
Oh, so someone's turning it off.
Somebody's messing with it over there. Okay, and the next property is 804 and 900. All the apartments south of Nancy Lopez Elementary School. We have been in contact with the property owner. He did have a contractor pull a permit on one of the buildings. And wants to do one building at a time. But a lot of these buildings are pretty bad, pretty dilapidated. People are still living in them. But like I said, we're working with the property owner to get that done. Once he gets it all done, he'll take them off condemnation. But it's going to be a process because he's going to do one unit at a time. And the last one is 218 East Church. This one is owned by Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar's sister came in to talk to the building official last week. Mr. Aguilar is a little mentally challenged. And fire department's been to this property about 4 times already. He starts fires in the backyard. He's started a mattress in the patio, kind of had a lot of smoke damage in the patio. But the sister is trying to get power of attorney on him so she could pull a permit on it and fix the house and get it up to condemnation status. Right now, the guy lives in there, but property doesn't have utilities, no water, no electricity. So that's why the sister's trying to get something going there.
Yes, go ahead.
So if the ones on Atkinson, if you spoke to them and they're working on them, then why are we still going forth with that? I understand it can take it, and you know it can take some time, but I know it also takes time to go through the condemnation process also. But if he's working, I thought we took them off if they came in and agreed.
A lot of those,
Or,
a lot of those counselor, they're not lived in. And those are the ones he wants to work on first before he starts working on the other properties, the other buildings, I mean. Because he wants to get them up and going before he can have somebody living there. And like you said, it's gonna be a process because it's the money wise and we got people living in some of the apartments too.
Are you concerned that, that if you take him out, that he won't continue the process? Or is this, you think this is a prod to try to get him to make sure he keeps going?
It's
Why are you keeping him
kind of
on
a
here?
little bit of both because if we take him off, then he might change his mind and then just not do nothing. And then we have to start the process all over again.
At what point do we determine that a house is unlivable, like this other guy with no utilities? And does the city go in and say this is unlivable?
Yes, the building official goes and he looks at the actual house and he makes that determination.
But if someone's living there, how do we just condemn him and put him out? I mean, if it's.
I know,
just
but
their
where do you
nose-
put them?
I know, that's what I'm saying, what do you do with them if it's just, I don't
Well, there's ones
necessarily
over
agree
there
with.
behind the newspaper that are unlivable. But there's people living in those, right? Those brown
Yeah,
on the condemnation.
Oh, which ones?
Apartment complex.
The ones on Grand?
Yeah.
I think those are in the process of being sold.
It's just, we've got to take care of our citizens too. And if they're
I understand, but if he's living there, then how do you just come in and
Well,
put
he's
him
not
out?
living there.
Yeah, she just said he was staying in the house.
Stays there once in a while.
So, I mean, that's what concern,
I'm more worried about the people that are living there and it's not livable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
no, but you condemning it, and it's not gonna make them not live there if they have no place else to go.
But I agree with what you said is if we put him on there, it'll be a fraud to get him to get it done if he wants to get off the condemnation.
But if he's mentally ill, he doesn't.
No, this guy's not. This guy's,
This last one, the church I'm talking about, which
Yeah.
church is the one that's mentally ill?
yeah, he's living there.
So
I'm
the,
talking about the
oh, no,
apartment.
the other ones, no, I'm okay, I understand that. Now that,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's a good idea to keep him private, but I just have concerns condemning it when someone's living, you know, if he had someplace else to go, to me, he would already be someplace else.
Mhm.
So what do you do? Then you put him on the homeless list, and then we have to go figure out what to do with somebody mentally ill and homeless, you know, finding him. And so I'm just kind of concerned about that one on Church Street because somebody lives there. Can we slow the roll this a little bit, give her a little time? Since she came in,
Yes.
said she needs to do this before she can do that.
Yeah.
She can't do anything. And evidently, if he's mentally ill, neither can he. So if you give him her a little time to work on that, and then if it doesn't happen, then we can just put it back on next month.
And she's just afraid too, Counselor, because he started 4 fires in that property already.
She's okay with
Fire department.
it?
I'm sorry.
She said, okay, you can
Yeah, she
condemn it?
said it was fine because she doesn't want him to burn the house down. It's already been on fire 4 times and they seen smoke coming out of it again this weekend. So if it doesn't, hopefully she wants to avoid that, get the house, get the name, get the power of attorney over him so she could take care of the problem and make a,
After she does that and come in there and take
yes,
it.
and then she can
And she can
then
take it off
get a permit and then
Okay.
once she gets the permit and abide by everything, then it'll come up to condemnation.
I feel, okay, I'm okay with it.
Madam Chair, I have one other thing. Once a property's been run through the condemnation list and is posted that it's a condemned property, anytime the police department catches somebody in one of those structures, they will remove them out of there also.
Even if it's his house.
Even if it's his house. If it's been condemned and it's posted
So what do you
condemned,
do with them when they go get them?
that's the problem.
No,
I
that's.
understand it completely. Yep.
So once it's on the list and they have the police, if the fire comes, then they're gonna take him and then take him where? We have another mentally ill person walking the street. I'm just concerned with that, that's all, but,
Not a good solution.
not real, we don't have a solution at this point, right?
Yeah, it sounds like the sister's trying to work on one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hopefully it wouldn't take her long to get all that power of attorney and stuff. And then she-
And just because the house is condemned, doesn't mean we're gonna go knock it down too. A lot of people think.
It takes some time, I know.
Go knock it down and speak it.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that.
When's the last time you knocked one down that's
It's
been
been
on?
a minute.
When's the last time you knocked one down that's been on the condemnation?
We just knocked one down last week.
Oh, okay. How long was it on the condemnation list?
The corner of Michigan and Bland. Right across the street from Missouri Avenue School. What was that?
How long was it on the list before you did that?
It was on there for at least a year.
So she'll have,
Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not gonna,
And if they go under they're going in there and making progress and talking to us. We work with them regardless. We'll help them out as much as we can.
Okay, any more discussion? Any questions? Public?
So when we do find a home that's not livable, you go in there and you tell them, they have time to fix it, right?
Yes. If you're the property owner, you get with the building official because he's the only one that condemns properties. We have 2 building officials. Go in there, talk to them, let them know what's going on, and they will work with you. But the property you have to be the legal owner of the property before we can give you a permit. That's the hard thing sometimes.
That's scary.
Living there and they.
That's scary.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
You want to make it, Mr. Murillo? You want to jump right in, newbie? You want to jump in, newbie? Come on. He said I'll second. I'll make it.
You make the motion, I'll second it.
To send the consider resolution 23X condemnations to consent agenda for next month's meeting, city council meeting.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Toby. First non-action item is the update on animal control. I just want to say too, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Best Friends has been doing amazing stuff, and I'm really happy you guys are here. Forward to you guys being here. You got a few more months, so hopefully you can help us find a replacement when you leave.
Madam Chair, that's what I was just going to introduce Ramon to you. So Ramon joined us with Best Friends a couple weeks now?
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks now, time flies. Ramon came from Virginia.
Right.
So it's cold nothing then.
Yeah, he's pretty cold. So he'll be completing the rest of the term of the contract we have with Best Friends. And he's been a pleasure to work with to this point. So we're looking forward to working with him. So I'll turn it over to him and he'll go over his monthly report.
Sure. Very happy to be here. I know I've only been here 3 weeks, but it's been an experience, a very positive experience. I know the project started in September and, you know, pretty much my first 3 weeks have been catching up on what has been done and what tactics we need to do in the next 9 months. So a few important highlights from the month of December was, for me, the thing that stood out the most was the 51 animals adopted. And if we're comparing it from last year, we only adopted out 18 animals. And one of the reasons this was so successful was because historically, just reviewing the statistics for the shelter, December is a slow month. But I think what made this such a success was we were able to partner with low cost, affordable surgery that we were able to, sterilize many animals at the shelter. And we were able to go out into the community. We were at Tractor Supply trying to engage with residents in a different way. Another highlight from the month that stood out for me was we purchased an outdoor kennel for cleaning. This is going to improve overall operational efficiency for the shelter. Because right now they're single-sided kennels, so during cleaning, animals are moved temporarily so that we can clean them. So we invested about $10,000 in new equipment to make this a little more streamlined. We put in place a database that wasn't used previously, and now all the staff are using it, and it's been very, very beneficial as far as data tracking and also the day-to-day operations. We do have our veterinarian with Best Friends coming in, I believe next Wednesday. She's going to be hosting a training at Pepper's Bar and Grill. Now it's focused towards veterinarians, but if anyone would like to come on down to learn about community cats, it's from 6 to 8. You're more than welcome to. I did meet with all the vets in the area too last week on Friday. And just to start that relationship and start building that gap or, start trying to develop a partnership with the shelter and the vet hospitals. And I got a lot of good positive feedback. I met with 8
Did they come in one time?
I went to,
Oh,
yeah, I
You went
visited.
to-
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
great experiences with each hospital. So trying to look at if we can establish like some type of partnership, like a set surgery day for shelter animals or a set price for shelter animals, or some post-adoption support for shelter animals to try to see what we can work with. And so far got a lot of good stuff to start with. One of the things I'm focusing on for this month, January, is the workplace culture at the shelter, as well as standard operating procedures, training, and that kind of stuff.
How long, much longer will you be here?
Till September, that's the project.
You guys have invested a lot.
I think you like it enough to want to stay.
Me? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I came with my 4 kids and wife, and we're very
He's
happy.
moving here now.
Yeah, we're very happy.
Yes.
So one thing I do want to update, and Mike, you can do that, does that have a grant that applied for?
Right. So one of our staff members did apply for a grant for pay for spay or neutering through the New Mexico Veterinarian Board. And Mr. Cole actually did a TV interview this morning on that grant. So $42,500 was awarded to the city of Roswell. Once we receive the grant agreements, get them sent off, get the check back, then we'll put that check into we'll have to go through finance, do some budget adjustments to get that money in the right place.
Is it a matching grant?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, just $42,500. Then we will build the program out to where, I envision it as people come in to adopt, if that animal's not spay or neutered, then we take care of the cost of that spay or neuter. We got 1 year to spend this money, so we definitely don't want to give any of it back. So as they come and adopt, we take care of the cost of the spay or neutering, and they take care of the cost of the vaccinations, if there is any, or the microchipping, if there is cost of that. So it should significantly reduce the cost of adopting an animal, which I would hope would increase the adoption rates for that period of time, which would be a benefit of getting those animals out of the shelter. And so we're excited about it. We appreciate the work that Elizabeth done to get that grant, and we'll move forward with it.
Can you use it for anything else? Like
No.
anything that needed to be done in the?
No, it's just strictly for
Spade and you, okay.
spay or neutering. And so that's a big
That's a big
what
expense.
prohibits people from adopting, is that they don't have the cash to pay for that vet. So this will help do that.
Good.
So we will put out I'll get with Todd Wildermuth when we get all the finances situated correctly, and we'll do put a PSA out, do some more interviews, whatever we need to do to let the public be aware of it. And I'm sure we'll see an increase in our adoption rates for that period of time. Just a quick calculation. I still got it on my
It
phone.
was 200. 200 animals.
200 animals. If the cost was $200 per animal, spay or neutered, you could adopt that about 200. So that would be that would clear out the shelter basically 2 times.
And but I think it's really sad, like in December, they had 174 strays. It's like, what is wrong with people in this town that they're not getting their animals fixed? So I do have to commend Flora, because they did do a lot of adoptions. Is Best Friends helping to try to find another rescue to help too?
We are. We're trying to find, one of the biggest needs right now are a puppy. We need to find a network for the puppies because they're growing up in the shelter.
And how many puppies do you have right now?
Estimate about 50.
It's crazy.
That's a lot.
Because 4 will only take adults, it won't take
Yeah.
puppies, so the puppies will sit. So we're trying to find a network.
Wow.
So one of the, just so for the committee, one of the things I found out, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the animals that are picked up have owners, but since the owners can't afford to spay or neuter, they don't pick them up.
Go get them, right?
Yeah, so if they have an owner, we can't spay or neuter them under this program. We're trying to get another program, but if there's no owner, we can spay or neuter. And I think you guys are microchipping at the kennels now.
We are.
So they would just have to pay for the vaccination, because you guys are registering them too, which is good.
We are, yeah.
I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. I don't know how to get this
So the
culture.
committee knows that there'll be two things real quick if I could. So next week I'll schedule a meeting and I'll invite you to it. You've been part of this all along. And we'll discuss that grant and exactly how it's going to work and all that. And then I'll plan on trying to stop in. I may stay for the whole thing, but I'll try to stay for that. But they've been really great to work with. Ramon's been great, so we're happy to have him here and all of what he's doing. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? No questions? Public?
Well, I have one. My neighbor died. Rita Kane Dorhofer, very narrow on stripe. I don't have a new mailbox on yet. Anyway, one of my neighbors died up on the hill and she had 15 cats. And now they're living at my house. So they are not in your shelter and they are all spayed and neutered.
And your county, so it's
And I'm
okay.
counting them.
Are you county? You're county. So 15 more.
I could bring them down to the shelter.
Thank you. That's why I said get 15 more.
All right, thank you, Ramon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Mr. Chief Lance Bateman, Real-Time Crime Center update.
Councilors, Madam Chair, pretty much what I have to talk about today is myself, Councilor Halverson, Mr. Matthews, Karen, a few others went and toured the Hobbs Eagle Eye program, which Hobbs Police Department runs. Basically, they have cameras set up around town, and they watch in real time what's going on. They can, solve crimes. It helps with response to officers. It's approximately 500 cameras, I think, set up now. They have a database, a little room at their office. It's manned. I believe right now, you think he said it's 20 hours a day. They're eventually going to go to 24 hours a day. They have them strategically placed. All intersection stoplights have a camera. 4 ways they have them throughout the town around businesses. A few of the laws, I know a lot of people would say, oh, it kind of is Big Brother. There are actually laws. They can't just zoom in on people and follow it. There has to be a reason. And they're pretty strict about that, or they could, there's some federal statute that they could get fined or get it taken away. So our reasoning for going down there is eventually to get that started in Roswell. We have 50 plus cameras or 52 stoplights to get cameras set up on those. We actually have cameras on them right now, but they're not real time. So anytime where there's a crash or we're investigating a crime, we have to go manually have somebody get into the box, upload it on a zip drive. That could take days to get that information back. So a real-time center would actually, we could see what's going on and get that stuff to officers almost immediately. Of course, what comes with that is money. What we're looking at, and I've talked to Farmington, they were behind Hobbs. So what they had to do, they're kind of in the same financial situation Roswell is. Hobbs, of course, has a lot more oil money and stuff. So Farmington actually started with grants, and then they used ICIP money to build theirs up. They started in 2017 and they're slowly building. Hobbs started in, I think it was 2014, right around that time. And they're looking to expand even more. While we were there, they showed us a couple old videos. One was a shoplifter from Walmart, took off running out of the store. She ran down the street by a fire station. Instead of officers driving 60, 70 miles an hour, they were just tracking her with the camera. She went to a dumpster behind a business, launched herself inside. They just talked to the officers and told them exactly where to go. They responded, got out, got her out of the dumpster and arrested her. So on a safety side, you don't have officers having to speed to a location when they can get what's going on directly from the people manning the cameras. There was also a camera that's on one of their fire stations, and they zoomed out and actually we could see the football field in Lovington, which is 20 something miles away. Clear as you can see across the street right now. That's how clear this camera was. So what we want to do eventually is we're looking into grants. I've already met with Karen on that. We want to start with the fiber part. All these cameras are going to take fiber. If we start at a Second and Main and push outwards, eventually growing, it not only help the police department, but it's going to help the city. Talking to the IT people, the city pays, can't remember the exact total, probably upwards of over $1,000 a month. It may be higher. We pay Plateau to get fiber services to other city entities. So if the city has our own fiber, we won't be having to pay that. It doesn't seem like a lot in the short term, but when you think in the long term, we also get that fiber infrastructure in, we can actually rent it out to other places. They can actually pay the city to use the city's fiber. So our goal is to start outward with the fiber. We're looking into funding for that. And eventually, of course, we'll have the cameras, but we'll start outward. Mike Matthews came up with a good idea once talking to him. If you set a camera up by the convention center, you could see all the way where it Wise down at McGaffey with clear as day, clear as a day. But that's our goal right now. I actually talked to the police chief from Hobbs today. He called me and they put in for money through the governor's discretionary fund. Not too familiar with that, but it just jumped in their lap. I don't know if Santa Fe called them because they heard about their Eagle Eye program, but they wrote up a summary for $3 million to expand their system and replace them. And my understanding from the chief is the governor's office will put in 2.5 million and the city will put in 500,000. So that's something we can look into, seeing if we can tap into the governor's discretionary fund. Also next year, we can look into the ICIP money that we get from the legislature, as long as they give junior bill money. There's rumors out there that they may cut a lot of that off, but we'll play it by ear. Legislature started today. So that's our goal, is to get this started in Roswell. It's going to take money in the long term. I think it'll benefit the public. Solving crimes will go up just to see what's going on. Crashes. They said the crash rate in Hobbs has declined a lot, which if you lower the crash rates in areas, insurance will tend to go down for all citizens, because that's a lot of what the insurance does. Just two real quick stories and I'll end it there. Farmington, two of the scenarios they played out when they started theirs was they got a call of a middle school child that was threatening suicide. So they started panning out the cameras around town, actually saw the kid walking down the street, panned in, he walked into a schoolyard, threw a rope over a jungle gym and hung himself. Officers were there within 30 seconds and cut him down and saved his life. Another scenario they played out was a lady and her husband went to Home Depot or Lowe's, and she has Alzheimer's. He went inside, she jumped in the driver's seat and took off. Well, with this program in Farmington, they have license plate readers at every ingress and egress out of town, or every major ingress and egress. So they started panning with cameras, followed the cars, or looking for the car. Actually, the license plate reader, the car hit on one of them. They wouldn't have found this lady because that license plate reader that it hit went straight onto the Navajo reservation. So that gave them the idea they're going onto the Navajo reservation. They contacted state police, the Navajo police, and they ended up finding the lady out there where, if you've ever been up there, that's barren land. So those were their deputy chief. Those were two of the cases he made that made that system up there just pay for itself, saving lives. And that's what Hobbs, their chief, reiterated, that that system is unbelievable and he wouldn't do it any other way. He just wants to expand it. So we'll be asking in the future the council. I know the budget's tight right now. We're hoping to start this with grants and maybe ICIP money to be less burdensome on the city, but that'll be hopefully coming as we progress from here on forward. I stand for any questions.
Well, let me just make a comment real quick. So like he said, I thought it was pretty neat. It's my second time going there, but they had it'll cut down on high speed chases, like you mentioned, because they can just watch where people go with the cameras. And DUIs. That guy in Hobbs says, oh yeah, because if someone calls in a DUI, then the cops have to go find them. Well, then you just start looking with the cameras, you know exactly where they are, then you could track what they're doing wrong.
Do you have any idea, either one of y'all have any idea what they were saying, what the startup cost is? Yeah, basically.
So Farmington's first year, they started out, I believe, with grant money was around, and I don't have my notes, about $600,000. 80,000 was the initial equipment, monitors and stuff in the room that they're going to be monitoring it with. And then they made a contract with kind of a friendly contract with an electric company out there to use their fiber. And then, of course, they started expanding by in their own fiber. So that's one thing we'd have to build partnerships with the local companies to get this started. But I think in discussions that we've all had that we go is it would just benefit the city of Roswell more if we had our own fiber financially and in the long run. And that's the new age thing today. So we can't be like Hobbs where we just get, more of, I wouldn't say blank checks. They built theirs up, but Farmington's had to start from the ground up. So I think I can't remember how much he said fiber was a foot, but we're talking, tens of thousands of feet.
Yeah.
Probably hundreds of thousands of feet starting out. So that's why we want to start outwards, because the fiber would have to run from the police department and then we'd go outwards, north, south, east, west. And then you're going to have to branch off. So, I'd be hoping in the first year with grant money and everything, probably just to get started with fiber, probably around $1 million. But with that said, talking to our IT people, and they're going to be researching it, we may have a lot of conduit in the ground already, which would make it a lot easier. And they think by the end of the year, we could get started from 2nd Street outwards at almost minimal cost. We may have a lot of the infrastructure set up, which would be great. We could, I think he said Sunset to Atkinson College to, do you remember? It wouldn't be real far out, but they think we may have a lot of that infrastructure set up.
Well, what's neat too is they were able to tie into the school cameras, but the schools, they have different software. They have gun detection software. But as soon as they alert, they immediately can go in and see the school's cameras and any businesses that want to sign up too. Yes, you have something.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry. But it was pretty neat the way they can, because they can get immediate help to someone, with the cameras. They know exactly where the criminals are. It'd be beneficial.
And we have right now, how many cameras do we, 600 cameras already set up in the city. Most are in buildings and stuff, but I think we have them at splash pads on every stoplight. So some of that infrastructure is already set up. We just have to have people that are smarter than me to tie into it initially. And then, the goal is slowly, I think we all discussed it, and the best thing is not just jumping into it, slowly expanding it, just to make it the best product available.
Okay. Any questions?
Would we be staffed for that, or would we have to hire officers for that?
Initially, we could probably use officers depending on our staffing. That's what they do. That's why they're only going 20 hours a day. They're staffing with officers, but they're in the process of hiring civilians. But you always want to have at least one police officer in there. So when they see a crime happening on camera, they can go with the police team concept. So if one officer sees it on camera, he can give that information to another officer to make an arrest. A lot of times, like misdemeanor crimes, if we don't see it happen, like a citation, if someone ran this red light and somebody called in and said somebody ran a red light, we can't do anything about it unless we see it. So with that police team concept, you see that like a DWI, I think they showed a DWI, they were following a truck going down the street, and that officer calling it in and actually gives probable cause to another officer to stop, where a civilian might not get that probable cause part to make the actual traffic stop.
Now, we wouldn't be using it just to film somebody running the stoplight.
No.
It wouldn't be for that, right?
No, they're real specific, and there's federal rules on what they can and can't look at. They have to have reasonable suspicion to actually watch something for an extended time. Now, if they're monitoring something and they see somebody run a stop sign, of course, they could, hey, this guy's reckless driving. An officer may show up and it may be one of the mistakes of me not paying attention to running one stoplight. You know, they're obviously not just going to go stop that, but like there's, you know, if you're talking 6 to 10 monitors in there, you're watching and they have 500 cameras, they're only obviously watching a few at a time. So mostly they're responsive of, hey, we got this going on in this area, and they can automatically switch to that camera.
And can you be able to go back, say for instance, there is a crime happening, especially this graffiti, Taz all over town. We'd be able to pick that up if you've seen it. You can use that as evidence, right, to go arrest the person if we can find them.
Absolutely. And, you know, the camera system that we have now, we actually used it in a crime. An off-duty state police officer had their tires slashed on all their personal cars and their state police cars. It took about a week and a half, but our detectives actually went back and reviewed all the cameras in this area and pulled camera footage of the suspect vehicle going through the stoplight at Union and 2nd Street. And the crime happened right up here by the Civic Center. So, you know, it's great work on our detectives actually going over these cameras, you know, spread out. But if you have someone in that real-time center, they could have been watching it real time as soon as they got the call. We could have got that instead of a week and a half, but we ended up finding the suspect on that because our detectives went the extra mile. But this would actually speed that up. And, you know, this time it's slashing tires. When it's a homicide, you know, you're under the gun.
Be nice.
More questions? Comments? Public? Is it wrong?
There's nobody.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on our non-action is 100% Chavez County presentation. We have Dan Jennings here. Wherever you're comfortable.
I'm fine from here.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and councilors, and also.
Name and address.
Oh, name and address, sorry.
I apologize. I was just Dan Jennings. I'm 105 North Winchester, Hagerman, New Mexico, 8232. I'm city councilor in Hagerman, also county connector to 100% Chavez County initiative. Our initiative is focused, it's a county-by-county initiative, it's a statewide larger initiative, but our whole mission is to start bringing a lot of organizations and people together to help address adverse childhood experiences. We know that when families are resourced and have trauma in the household, then that trauma is visited upon the youth that are in the house as well. And this continues generation after generation. So instead of trying to focus on how to work after the trauma's happened, we're trying to prevent the trauma on that side. And we know that we can do that by really being very proactive as much as we possibly can. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you because we have in your package, you have the information about a summit that we're hosting in April. The summit we hosted last year was a sector by sector action planning summit. A lot of things that came out of that focused on the fact that when families are encountering this kind of trauma, they are more vulnerable to abuse, neglect, and trafficking and exploitation. And so what we see is when the pushes of things like poverty and adverse childhood experiences, they're more likely to be pulled in a direction. A lot of times that pull are from people who disguise themselves as a protector or a provider, and that's typically why families end up in exploitative situations. We know with the rise of social media and technology and things like that, it made it even easier for this to happen, especially during the pandemic. So what we want to do is try to create an environment where we create as many positive pulls in the lives of youth and families. And we feel we can do that by really partnering with as many people as possible to get them trained and move from, sometimes we get a little apathetic because we're like, this is too big, we can't handle this, it's not in my backyard, but we know the only way forward is through empathy. And so we're trying to bring as much training and awareness to this as possible. And so what you have is the training as well. In April 12th is the summit, and we would love for as many people to come as possible. We're going to be focusing on breakout sessions with different sectors and providers that are focused on tools and resources to help people who want to intersect with trafficking and exploitation. So it is actionable things that we can do. And prior to that, we have trainings. And we broken those trainings out into sectors. So on, for example, April 10th, in the morning, we have first responders sector. So we would love to invite anybody that's in the first responder sector. That can be dispatch, EMT, fire, paramedics, any first responders for a very specific sector training. We're bringing in a team called I Empathize from Colorado that works specifically on this. They have training and curriculum that they're providing for us. We're helping to get sponsored, bring that in. So training is free for anybody in that sector. So we would love to see anybody in that sector sign up for the free training. That would be great. And then we also have law enforcement. We created 2 different sector trainings for that, one in the afternoon and one in the morning, so that we can get as many people from the law enforcement sector as well. And we also have 2 for the general and faith community as well. We have a medical training as well, and a labor specific, and then youth organizations and schools. So we're very blessed to have sponsorships that have helped and continue to get more sponsorships, but we wanted to make sure that that was not a barrier to coming to training. So it's free. It's no barrier to come. So we would love to, and so that's why we wanted to be here to express that and offer that, because we feel that it's very beneficial. The summit right now is $35, but at least the trainings are free. So if anybody wants to come to the summit, we're going to be working on action planning. That's a full day event, breakfast and lunch, and evening reception as well. So we want to offer that to as many people as possible as well. And, so I appreciate your time and I'm ready for any questions you might have.
I did send the times and information to Chief Bateman and then Chief Miller, trying to get some firemen and sign it.
But the tickets are ready, so we've got limited.
I sent the link.
Yes, thank you. Site's up and ready to take. We have limited seats, so I do want to make sure that everybody, we're starting in Chavis first, and then I'm going to start opening it up in other counties next. So my youth event in February, just kind of leaving that for the Chavis County schools, but on these, I'll start opening up here in February for Eddie Lee, Otero and such to start coming to them as well. So I just wanted to make sure anybody that was here could get first dibs on those seats. So
Okay, any questions from anyone? Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Monthly reports. At least Lance left. Oh, okay. I had some questions, but that's it. And so then, fire, do you have any? I guess you got an academy training graduating this month?
Yeah, Chair, members of the council, we are finishing up. We are finishing up our academy. Our EMS school is wrapping up, and graduation is slated for, I believe, the 26th of January. Not to sit on our hands too long, we will be starting another academy in February. So just roll right over into the next one. Staffing, the numbers here are still accurate as of now. We just got letters of resignation today, 2 more letters of resignation. So that adds 2 blanks there. Last year, we finished off the year pretty strong. Ran some numbers here just recently, about 7,900 calls for the year, which we implemented prior to dispatch. And it's supposed to take our numbers down a little bit, and it took them down a little bit, but we were very busy within the system this last year. And with that said, I'll stand for any questions if you guys have any questions over there.
I have a question in your report, or Matt's report. There's 700 false alarms year to date. I know, like, how many false alarms are people allowed to have get fined?
Yeah, we've had that. That's a good question. And I'm not exactly sure what the rules are, but it's pretty hard to discourage people from using a fire alarm. Because if we start fining for a burglar alarm, I think is one thing. With fire alarms, you start charging, people stop using them, and
so then the fire
rate goes up. And we'd rather be able to not respond to calls.
Okay.
Because
yeah,
it's a bad day when something catches
it's good
on fire.
practice for you guys, right?
It's great practice, but we're good at training, so we don't really necessarily need the real life practice.
What about what you mentioned before? You know, how the big trucks, they cost a fortune in gas to go out. If we got like the just SUVs or something.
The smaller rescue units.
Yeah.
And they are running How many of those? One?
We're running one. Yeah, we're running one. But the priority dispatch has cut down significant. We ran 7,900 calls. Is still about 1,600 calls less than we ran last year.
So you were close.
And with
Over 9,000 calls.
last year, we were pushing 9,400. And so with that being said, those wheels are turning a lot less. And if we're needed, we're needed. And we
Yeah.
respond and operate in excellence. And if not, then we'll let the ambulance company take care of that for the time being. So.
Any other questions? So everyone got the invite for the graduation? I say it because my son-in-law's graduating.
It'll be good. It's
Fingers crossed, because it depends on the test on, but he's doing.
That's the question. Did you get an invite? Not from us. Did you get an invite from him?
I made the invite. So, you know.
Full circle. That's right.
Yeah, next is dispatch.
Thank you, Madam Chair and council members. Chief Fuller just gave me a great plug for the priority dispatch because we are focusing on training. We have a training starting next Monday. We have 4 students that will be certified. So I would like to officially invite you if you would like to come sit even for an hour. And I'm going to be teaching that class. It's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the Adult Center from 8 to 5.
And what is that exactly?
It's the certification for emergency medical dispatch. So it'll show you what we're doing that is helping. And what Chief Fuller was talking about is we triage the calls. So when a medical call comes in, we ask certain questions to find out the acuity of the patient. And then if it's a lower acuity, the fire truck is not dispatched. So it's called an EMS only call. And it has significantly helped with the fire running on things like that need a Band-Aid or things like that. So that, again, it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week at the Adult Center. And like I said, you're welcome to come sit in 8 to 5. And like I said, you can just pop in anytime. We'd love to have you just to kind of take a peek at what we're.
I did get a tour of the facility, finally. Thank you for that.
She finally did. She did finally come visit. So staffing, we're doing better than we have in a while. Vacancies are at 3 officially, but I did submit a selective for 1. So that means we're at 2. So if you have anybody that is interested in an exciting career, send them my way. We're going to be starting up testing again in February.
Did they go through like stress tests for that too? I mean, that's a high stress. Yeah.
They take a competency test and that puts them under a good bit of stress. And then we also encourage them to come do a sit-in where they come and sit for 4 hours and just observe. And we have some that say, well, no, not for me.
Yeah.
But it does give them a little bit. And so far we've not had anyone leave citing emotional, not making able to do it. So hopefully we're doing okay. That's really what we've got going on. Staffing and retention is our big focus. And there's a big push in the legislature for that in this session. So I've got some 911 affiliate meetings this week, really focusing because it's actually a nationwide problem. But as I've spoken to you before, we're really hurting with attrition more than anything else.
Yeah. Did you finally work out with the county, the ICIP?
I'm sorry?
The ICIP, the county had a lot of the same.
So I don't know where we stand on the ICIP yet. But they did, since I spoke to you last, they did approve and award a contract for the construction to Mirador out of El Paso, Mirador. Chad, you had asked me what the company was, it's Mirador. So when I talked to the facilities director in our board meeting, he said that they don't know the timeframe. But the previous director had told me hopefully about 18 months from start to finish. So sorry, I can't give you any better dates on that. But the contract's been awarded, so that's hopeful.
All right. Any questions? All right, thank you. Next is code enforcement, Karen? Toby. Oh, sorry, Toby.
We got the 4 officers rotating this year. The reason being is because I want the guys to learn the whole town. And I say, for instance, we got somebody on Oakwood that wants to just nitpick at somebody, so take them around. They could talk to somebody else so they could see what other things we can have
He's
going
not
on.
out yet?
Everybody gets an opportunity.
It's equal.
So everybody gets to know everybody else's problems in different parts of town, so everybody gets to know the town. And we got business licenses renewals coming in. As soon as they come in, got Nikki sending them out, so it's business as usual.
Awesome. Questions? Thank you, Karen. I guess I skipped you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's also just business as usual. Working on grants. So my scope of work passed the full council last week to update our emergency operations plan, which is a requirement to apply for most of the grants that I apply for. We're waiting for Shish Gap to come out. That's the grant that Captain Bateman is, Chief Bateman is most interested in. It's a zero match grant, so it's 100% funded. We're going to look at some different priorities. We can put it in for up to 5 projects on that grant. So we'll give them various costs and different projects to pick from. And other than that, just business as usual.
Can you use that grant for, because I was talking to him and Deputy Chief Aldana about the, when an officer falls, or he said the GPS is super important for their cameras, their body cam?
Yeah, you can, there's definitely requirements that it has, but any equipment like that usually falls in the parameters of being eligible.
Okay.
And we usually on that grant, it depends on how much the state gets. They divide it between the 33 counties, and then it's just a competitive grant writing process. But we try and give them like different options, like from $50,000 to, $500,000, so that they can kind of plug us in somewhere there so we can get some of that money.
The Chat GPT helps you write it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any questions? Thank you. All right, animal control is the last one, or do you want to cover anything else? Are you good?
No, the only thing I didn't cover was staffing. We made 3 offers to the vacant kennel worker positions. So once those are approved by HR, we're fully staffed. Congratulations.
That is pretty.
Yeah.
You said that once.
I said that once. It lasted for 3 days.
Yeah, maybe I do.
Make sure you buy them all coffee day one.
Anybody else have anything? Publish that on.
Have something else. Rita King Dorhofer, very narrow, unstriped mailbox, Mark Road. As most of you know, Habitat for Humanity, we have closed our doors. We don't have enough people. I'm probably one of the youngest ones at 75, and it's just too much. We can't get enough volunteers. So we had a dedication of our last house, and both city councilors, Angela and Carlos, showed up. They stayed for the whole thing. I didn't go because there must have been, 40 people in there, 40, 50 people. I was by the door and I was having attacks. But they showed up to this last dedication. It was in their ward, so I wanted to thank them. And it's a feel-good story, even though it's sad that we've closed our doors, but I want you to know that these city councilors came at 6 o'clock at night in the dark to dedicate this house. Thankful.
It was and cold. Somebody made cookies. So, yeah. Had homemade chocolate chip cookies up in there.
All right,
I'd be worried about you.
nothing else? You're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
5:26.
And we'll be.
No, our meetings go quick.
No, I should have to say the time.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.